Hello, everybody, and welcome to the sixth and final entrant into the Intro to Esports series. My name is Bennett Winecoop.
I'm Marcus Howard, as you all have seen, CEO of MetaArena, and we are joined by.
I'm Anna, and I'm joining from Rogue Fox Guild.
Thank you for joining us, Anna. Again, you and I have spoken before in the past, so I think this is a great opportunity for me personally to get an update on what you've been up to the last several months. But for everyone else who's just getting to know you for the first time, can you talk a little bit about who you are, where you come from, a little bit about your background, please?
Definitely. And first of all, thank you for having me, Marcus, Bennett. Great to be here. So great. So yeah, my name is Anna, and I'm one of the co-founders of Rogue Fox Guild, which is essentially a post-apocalyptic social game on the blockchain. So what that means is that we're building a game, right? Like the games that we a lot of you play and know, but it is on the blockchain and it has some mechanics and some ideas around using NFTs and integrating those in the gameplay.
Okay, so we've got some middle school students here who are joining us, who may have watched the entire series or joining us for the first time. They may have heard of the terms blockchain and NFT, but they may not quite yet know what those are. So just so we can level set, and then we'll certainly want to learn more about your background. Can you define blockchain and NFT for them, please?
That's a great question. And I had to do this for my 8-year-old aunt the other day. So, so okay. Yeah. So what's happening? So what would blockchain be in this essence, right? And how we're using it, right? Blockchain allows technology to exist on multiple locations. So the data that we have, should we say, the data in the game to exist in multiple servers in multiple places across the globe. And this way, if say for example Google, somebody removes their servers, it bombs them or something, not to say I recommend that, not to say I want that, but if something happens with a data center somewhere, the data would be stored across in many other places around the earth, such as your computer, for example, if you are working on this, or whoever wants to essentially the so-called mine the blockchain. So I think that's probably the simplest way that I can put what blockchain is. It's a decentralized way of containing information, and it's very public. So the beauty of that is that everyone can see what's happening on this technology, right? So this is so valid when you also, move your assets in game, for example. This is all visible in a contract called smart contract. And this is so what that means for the end users like yourself is that it's going to be very transparent and very public, so you can see what's happening. It's not hidden behind any walls, behind any passwords. A lot of the information is visible for everyone. Now with the NFTs are essentially the way to verify that something is original. It's like a private key onto something, but in the modern world of NFTs gaming, right, they're very visual. So in our case, for example, they're an image of a fox, so that image is for you to own, and with that image this is your avatar, right? But as an NFT, that means it's only one of a kind of that fox, and it's written in this smart contract. So you own that fox, you can verify that it's yours. No one else can copy it, so your avatar is yours, and you go in there and it's very secure.
If
Is
you
that
don't
what
mind,
we're looking for?
that was exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you. I'm gonna make a metaphor, hopefully that they can relate to. I'm gonna use Fortnite as an example. So for those of you who are joining, I'm just gonna give you an example, kind of layering in what Anna said. Today, if you go into Fortnite and you get your avatars and your weapons, and all your characters, if something happens to Fortnite the game or Epic Games, the game goes away. Any of the time and the money that you've invested into that game is gone forever. But what Anna's saying is, with the blockchain, you as the end user, as the gamer, now own in perpetuity forever, eternally, that asset, that digital object for yourself, so that you can have it if the game goes down, and like you said, you're able to then transfer it or share it. It's yours to fully own. Whereas in traditional gaming, you're really just kind of renting the right to play it. Is that correct?
Exactly. So this is, thank you for that metaphor, Marcus. So absolutely, that's how we're building the game. So this will be valid for everything. So say we're starting actually next week. We're releasing fishing rods for fishing. So those fishing rods would be an NFT essentially, and it's going to be yours to use in the game if you want, or you can resell. You can sell it to somebody. You can send it to your friend for them to use. You can do whatever you want. And previously, like you said, with Fortnite and other games, normally it's, you can't do much with that item, right? Or say your sword, right? Or your fishing rod there, that you have to, it's yours in the game, that's it. And if the game is no longer valid, if that company does something, destroys all their data and their servers, your items will be lost forever.
That's awesome. That you're building this technology. I think what's helpful to share with the students as well is you're building two different types of experiences. I think you're building fundamentally a Web3 company, but you're also a game developer. So they're connected but slightly separate. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's that's right. And the two overlap for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think so. The gaming industry, the reality is there is a lot of overlap. At the end of the day, we are building game that has to follow the same principles. It has to be fun. It has to be interesting to play for the end users. So there is nothing else that's different from a standard game. However, in terms of the technology, in terms of how this industry is, right? There are some differences there. For example, in terms of how you promote this game, how you talk about this game, there are different circles, there are different areas, there are different venues to advertise. So there is a lot of differences there as well. But the fundamentals are that we want to create a game that is fun, that is interesting. Also, the one that, like you said, the NFTs, right? The ownership that we talked about, that players can own their items, they can resell, and they can use them completely as they want. And then I think the final thing there is what we also want to allow is the community that is playing the game to feedback. So maybe in a lot of games that you guys play, whoever is watching this, when you play a game, right? You may not be able to feedback and say to the Fortnite developer, say, I want this to happen. They may not listen to you, right? You have little control. And in our way, you the end user, the player of that game, would also be able to say what you want, and maybe even create some stories in the game, or create some graphics, even contribute in a really important and significant way as well. And I think that's really the spirit of the blockchain gaming industry, right? The world that we're creating right now.
I agree. Video games have been around for decades now. So you're building a great gaming company, but I think, when I think about the technology, blockchain to me is still kind of functioning like a database. Like you said, it's a little decentralized, and you have that true ownership. But what's missing from a gamer perspective that got me really excited about this all, 4 or 5 years back is that ability to have a voice and potentially like voting control or influence over a game that I'm excited about. Because I've been playing video games a long time, but the game developers never asked me my opinion, or if I found something
Mhm.
that was wrong or something I wanted. I had no way to communicate that upstream. So you're providing that in this ecosystem. That's tremendous.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's important. I think that's the future. That's going to happen more and more for sure.
I still want to get to your background, but while we're on the subject of your team and the studio, can you talk a bit? You're the first person we've had in this group, these sessions, that has a gaming studio. So can you just illuminate, help for the students? understand the different people who are in your team, and then from there talk about your role in your day to day, just so they can get like a better visual of what goes into making a game.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'll just speak also a little bit more generally, because we are more of a starting company still, so we may
Mhm.
not have a large team, but just generally, of course, you need a lot of different skill sets in the team. Okay, so I would say the fundamentals are the following. So, of course, you need a developer, so a programmer that is very much focused. I mean, multiple developers you need, but say as a role, you need junior, senior, right? Different levels of expertise, developers who are specialists in game development, and generally there are two software packages that are most popular for that. So one of them is Unity, that's the most popular software for this, or the other one is Unreal. There are others, but these are the two most popular game engines, as they're called, to build. So your developer will probably be skilled in one of the two. So that's number one. Of course, you need game designer. Game designer is actually different than designers in other industries. Somebody who actually designs how your game would be like, not visually, but like how it will operate, like what's going to happen in the game. Let's say on that level, what are the difficulties, right? Where the bosses, how difficult it is for the boss to beat you and you to beat it, for example, how many obstacles there are. So these decisions that are very important are generally made by game designers. And yeah.
Almost like a building architect, correct?
Yes, I would say, yeah, like a building architect. Yeah, just putting the fundamentals, exactly. So the foundations in which, without that, you have just the visuals, the beauty, but you won't have the solid foundations.
Yeah.
Um, and I think there is variety of creative roles. Of course, I would start with the art. Art is very important to me. It's my heart, because that's where I come from. I'll tell you about my background. It's definitely on the visual side, and so you have technical artists, which are technical artists are generally working on the details, such as, for example, like supplying the art to the developer. And when you have the concept artist, and definitely concept artists are a little bit more not so linked with the game process, but just generally coming up with the characters, just like the concept, essentially, like the pictures that are very beautiful, for example, but not necessarily practical in the game. And the technical artists would be much more kind of hands-on and work with the developers to provide the assets as they need them, right? And just be workable. And then, of course, you have sound. That's pretty straightforward. Sound engineering that creates visual sorry effects, sound effects. You've got of course, what else? Yeah, this can go. I mean, you can have a lot of options there.
Yeah.
Let me think. Of course, there's the writers as well to write the content. That's important, actually, as well. Dialogues. A lot of games have a lot of writing that is key to the gameplay as well. So it really depends on the type of game and genre. Of course, you have project managers that manage everything. And then you have different roles that are not related to the game process but are needed, right? To manage all of the process. And of course, marketing is a crucial role. Marketing is, goes hands in hand. So it's a long topic, but you can have this game, and if it's not marketed, then it may not go very far. But again, going back to this new way of doing games, guys, marketing and community is probably equally important. The two are going hand in hand, and that's a whole new topic. But yes, essentially, marketing and community manager is a role as well.
Yeah, I worked in the indie game space for 7 years before I got into esports, pivoted into esports, and you probably heard this, and Bennett, you probably heard it as well. I don't know if it's a parable, but it says, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one here there's no one there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. There's a indie game version of that is, hey, we just launched. It's a joke. Hey, we just launched our game. When should we start promoting it? And the punchline is 6 months ago.
Yes, I know it. Brilliant.
But,
Yes, exactly. It should
but
have been
you're
done.
exactly right. Like building the community is a form of marketing, right? It's kind
Yeah.
of internal with versus like external at.
Yeah, exactly. So, um, yeah, it's a long topic, but in short, exactly, it happens a lot, guys, that games have been promoted years before they're released. With this blockchain gaming and Web3 as an industry, the timelines are a little bit shorter, meaning that you don't have that years. The community is really pressuring, and it's in a good way, right? It's just they want to see, they don't want to wait with years, but I think that's how it is. The world is spinning faster for sure.
Okay, can we shift now into your role, right? You are the CEO, you're the visionary. Tell us a little bit more about what you do day to day, and then we can backpedal a little bit to how you got into Web3.
For sure, yeah. So, I mean, yes, I'm the de facto CEO, even though even though we're trying to get away with the C-level, chief level positions in terms of, I think, it's all about being equal really in many respects. And I think that's how the world is going. But essentially I work with all departments pretty much, and just kind of managing the process and just making sure that it's all on track. So I would say that's my main role, in a nutshell. And I think, my co-founder, who is essentially like a CTO, he has a very good grip of the product of the game itself. So I'm lucky in that respect that I do less of that, right? But still, it's about, so it's like working with that department, right, and just making sure that, it's delivered on time and realistically, that the promises that we've made, right, what we've promised to the community are being kept in many respects, or that if there is any delay, which does happen in games, that's true, anything that has been communicated properly. And of course, thinking about how to promote the game as well, that kind of falls in under my role as well, very much, because again, going back to, it's very important, it's crucial. And then of course there is the investment element. So like, how do we raise investment? Because this is like a startup, meaning investment and funding is very important, and it takes a lot of money to execute well. This is the truth. This is the truth. And you may know this from indie games, right? You can do lots of things in a small team, but it just takes longer, right? It can take years to develop. So if you do want to, it's not that the team can't deliver without this investment, but it's definitely just, it will take a lot longer, and people don't want to wait that long. That's as simple as that. And
Yeah,
you have to pay the bills as well.
I got to keep the lights on. How many people do you have on your team? What's the current size now?
So at the moment, it's about 8. Yeah, just so it is a small company right now. Still, we've got lots of community members helping as well, and we're looking at getting our first round of investment to be able to scale to a bit more people. Yeah.
Excellent. And just for the kids who are paying attention now, having a small team again doesn't mean that you can't make a great game. If you think about Among Us, right? I think in 2020 they had 250 million downloads. That was made by a 3-person team. So you can have small teams with a unique vision and great experience, like what you're building, like what Among Us is, and still really build a breakout game. So excited to see more about Rogue Fox Guild as you move forward. But now I want to hear more about how you got started and into Web3.
Yeah, definitely. So my background is actually my kind of educational background, should we say, guys. It's in design, specifically not even game design, graphic design, so very visual. I then went from there. Graphic design means designing, like printed materials, even back in the times, like promotion, advertising, etc. Then I moved into actually products, which means designing UX UI, essentially designing digital products. But back in 2017, I started my first business with the same co-founder as now, Morgan, the CTO. And actually, back in the days, we really wanted to do a game. We've wanted to do this for a while, but somehow we always thought that it's very competitive market, right? It's very tough to do this as a small team, going back to what you're saying. And it's now, just now, more recently, last year, with Web3 and blockchain gaming started to just take off, we really saw that the opportunity is there to actually try and create the product of our dreams. And the other part of this is that yeah, it's just we saw that this whole community and people are generally interested in NFTs, blockchain gaming. So that really made us look into it. And when we did, it was like, wow, it's such a great industry, right? It's exactly what we want. We want openness, which blockchain provides. That the blockchain community provides very much openness, collaboration, transparency. I truly believe that. And if yeah, so that was our main reasons to get into the blockchain gaming to start with. And of course the technology itself, it really allows for, it's the future, allows for anyone, like going back to it, it allows for anyone to take ownership of their assets. But yeah, I think I've been in startups before starting this project, this business, as a co-founder as well as a consultant and employee, meaning that I've seen how small companies operate, and I find that super exciting. So I think my advice is, for a lot of the people graduating now, my advice is to try startups. It's not just the big names, big organizations like the big five, like Google or Amazon or Netflix, and Facebook. Yeah, it's not about just those big employers, right? There are so many opportunities to create your own business or to work with other smaller companies and gaming studios, right? And I think that's my advice to the future generation that want to get into this.
You're right. It's spot on. We talk about Web3 and blockchain kind of powering the creator economy, allowing you to like create value throughout the entire life cycle. That's one of the things that I noticed working in the indie space is most indie teams only thought about like the end product, the release game as like their monetizable moment. Where if you have something like the blockchain with Web3, and that's because it didn't, frankly, even though technology existed 7 years ago, 8 years ago, the understanding of it wasn't quite there yet.
Mm.
But now today you have the ability to have, and we've had subscription models like Patreon and Kickstarter, but kind of leverage the blockchain to re-implement that in a new way where you can not only provide that content like along the way, but like you said, like give a sense of ownership and really build a genuine community around like, this is not just you selling a product to a gamer. It's like you're making the gamer a part of the organization and building it with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's yeah, it's about listening to the community. And in our community we have people of all ages as well. I just want to say that, because we do have, from 15-year-olds to 50 years old and more, right? So I just thought about that. It's not about how old, it's not about age, it's not about even skills. I think communities, in being in a community, you can really provide value, and you can start to build your network as well. And that's, again, it doesn't matter where you live as well. That's the beauty of it. Is you can be in any place on the planet and still provide value, and be valued and cherished in any community on the other side of the world, and then maybe then later work for them and work with them as well. So yeah, it's the network effect. So yeah.
And that's something that I didn't have when I was growing up, the ability to just say like, hey, I have a passion for video games. Like as a middle school student, how can I be a part of a company, right? You have a fairly small team, 8 people. I can imagine it's one of the students, listening to this and joins into Rogue Fox Guild and starts to contribute as a moderator or just a community member, and maybe does concept art or like these smaller pieces that may not seem super significant to them, but are the foundations for their career if they like art or music. And it's helpful to you at least as a new perspective. But you said perfectly, ultimately like building your network, building your professional kind of portfolio, your career basically as a middle school student. I never would have imagined that was possible, when I was in middle school. So thank you for sharing that.
No, definitely. I think I just my mind is one of our community member, Odin, who not only that kind of he met his partner in our server, in our community,
Mhm.
from and his business partner from from the Philippines, and he's based in the US. So all across, they met in our community and they started their own NFT project together. And so yeah, and apparently Odin has been talking about NFTs in his class as well. And surprisingly, not a lot of people didn't know much, so he had to explain to them. So that's the beauty of it. I really loved his story there. But I also wanted to say it's also about dedication and being consistent and being there, right? So it doesn't happen overnight. I just want to kind of be a bit clear about that, because yes, it does involve hard work. Everything involves hard work when you're starting something new, right? So to build a community or to build a game, you have to be there frequently and be there, and kind of, it does require work. It requires to be there and work for it. But if you enjoy the process, and I think if you want a career in games, you probably will enjoy the process, right? You don't do it because you have to. You do it because you want to, and that's really what keeps you forward and gets you going. The passion for what you do, I think that's really important as well.
How does the saying go? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly. Yes, I know that one as well.
It's still work, but at least you love it, right? You have a choice between doing hard work. At least you want it to be something that you love to do. I would be remiss if I can't believe we had 20 minutes of conversation and I missed this. Can you describe the Rogue Fox Guild game? Like, what kind of genre is it? What kind of experience is it? Like, paint a picture for the kids of what you're building, your vision for this game.
Yeah, definitely. So it's a great question because, yeah, I didn't explain it in detail. So, yeah, essentially our vision is, so we're building a post-apocalyptic social action role-playing game, meaning that you have. So it's a post-apocalyptic world of the barren lands. Something has happened back in the time. No one knows what has happened, but the foxes are the only one remaining being sentient. So they've become sentient, and now they're ruling this world. And essentially, they've got different areas on the map, starting with the Windy Plains, where the first city of the foxes is open and exists. Right, you start from there, which is called Vobgard. So you have a social hub there, and that's where you normally socialize with friends. You can fight, you can trade your items, and then you have the questing. So you have to go on quests outside of Vobgard. So that's in an action RPG, meaning think like Diablo for the blockchain, but with social elements. So you
Mhm.
can go on quests together with your friends as a team or on your own, and you win battles, or you do various quests and you earn rewards that you can use then to level up and become better and kind of help you beat the next monster better and easier next time. Or you can trade your items, like your weapons, your armor, or other items. You can trade those on the marketplace. But as of recently, we've definitely worked a lot on the social aspect. So we really want to make it so it's not like you, the player, work on your own or with your best mates. We want to make it so that you can actually meet new friends in Vobgard, create bonds, create communities, maybe invite them for a tea in your coffee, a tea coffee in your house or something, right? You chat, you do things together, you're rewarded if you're a good community member, or you can choose not to be. You can be a little bit more cheeky, a cheeky fox, and everything impacts your character in the game, and it's very related in a social way, which we don't traditionally see in previous games, action RPGs, right? It's not only just about the questing and winning, right? This way we want to really create a social experience where you have your true identity of your foxes in the game.
Excellent, excellent. And I don't want any alpha here, but can you share a little bit more about like where you are in your development timeline? And again, if you nothing that is obviously trade secrets or anything, but just where are you along? How long you've been working on this game, and how far along are you at now? When maybe the better question is like where can students learn more about it, and where is it in its development timeline?
Yeah. So there is no trade secrets there. Everything is public. As much as we can keep on posting, as much as we can keep up, with the developments. I try to post everything all the time. But our roadmap is on our website, roguefoxguild.com, so they can see it there. But in a nutshell, we've launched Alpha, which is essentially the social hub, which is Vobguard, and that's launched and already live. So in there, you can already meet new people with your Foxy. So you can go in with your avatar. And you can chat with people, you can socialize. We're actually releasing, we've got some mini quests right now, but we're releasing also a fishing mechanic, where you can, go fishing. We'll be doing more crafting as well, where you'll be able to create some items in that, in Vobguard itself. And we'll be doing PvP, so meaning players versus players battles with opponents, so with other foxes. So that's where we're at right now with the social hub. And then the full game, meaning the full questing and kind of storylines outside of the social hub, outside of Vobguard. This is something that will take a little bit more time. So, like, we've been working on the social hubs actually just for a couple of months, and we'll continue working on this alpha for the next couple of months. And we are now raising investment, like I said before. So, pending investment, from then on, there will be another year of development of the full game of with the questing and kind of a full Diablo style. Fighting bosses and the full story to develop. That is a process that unfortunately can't be done in just 2 months, right? It's around a year of development, but we're hoping to get quite a lot of it done before then, and before we start to build that part. And that's going to be a lot of the social and crafting and just hanging out. That's what we're working on right now.
That's amazing because, again, having worked with indie studios, a traditional Web 2, I know that their development cycles are somewhere between 3, 5, or 6 years. So for you to be able to do that in a 12-month time span is amazing. And it's also great that you have an alpha. You're more involved in this space on the gaming side than I am, so you know as well as I do, if not better than I do, that a lot of companies are just raising a lot of money and not actually having a thing or building a thing. But you bootstrapped to a evidence of success of your ability to execute, and now you want to take that to the next level. So kudos to you and your team.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of hard work for my team and myself. Yes, it's that's the price. But I agree with you. And at the end of the day, to be honest, sometimes even having that money, right? A lot of investment money could be a bad thing. We do hear those horror stories of like, unfortunately, some failures that resulted in those CEOs spending the money on silly things, etc. It does happen. I don't, yeah. But in our case, we are lucky and we are hardworking. So we try to build this first, and then raise investment, and then we're in a good position. So yeah.
Well, any way that I can help you, I know, you and I have some side conversations we definitely need to follow up on, but I want to see this game succeed and be as tremendous and successful as it deserves. Before we leave, if you have any other advice for the kids, I know you mentioned some gems earlier, some great advice, anything else that you'd like for them to know as they embark on their career, or something you wish you knew and you started your career?
Yeah, definitely. I think look, of course, education is important, and traditional education is important. I think what I've learned in my way, I was very educational focused, very education RA student. But what I learned is that what is important later on in your career is a few other qualities as well as just having the grades and everything. It's important to be proactive, right? It's important to, of course, work hard, but also, it's important to network and know people early on. And you can start to do that, especially in blockchain. You can do it like as of today. You can go and befriend some people that may have more experience than you, that can be either your mentors or your employers or your business partners, right? So I think that's really important. I wish I was doing more of that early on in my career, and just kind of getting to know people and be out there. And I think the other thing is about the education in specifically, I would say, in the creative sector, including games, that it's great to have a degree. Again, it's not against that, but there is a lot that you can do with outside of university or outside of college or outside of school. You can really be, say you want to be an artist, a game artist, right? You can be doing this outside of your curriculum. And I think this is, once you know that you want to do this, maybe do a lot of this or maybe you're a musician, you want to be a sound designer, right? Or maybe you want to be a coder. Do this outside of the curriculum of your school, so you're one step ahead or 10 steps ahead once you graduate from school, and once you graduate from university, if you want to follow that path. But the opportunities are great. There are many opportunities, and what people are looking for is people that have the talent but also have worked hard, and also just generally nice people that show just there, right? And just show enthusiasm for this, and show that they can deliver. And yeah, but it's in a great place, and I think the schools of today, guys, you're very well positioned to work your dream job and your dream dedication.
Thank you so much for all those amazing insights, and especially given that you're like 6 hours ahead of me and Bennett. So it's almost evening. It's well into the evening your time. So thank you for being generous with that time. Where can the students and the parents and the teachers connect with you, follow you, connect with Rogue Fox? I know you mentioned the website, but I also know that you have Discord server and Twitter. And where else can we learn more about your future updates and support you?
Yeah, definitely. I think Twitter is the best place. Twitter, I can tell you quickly, and then we have our community on Discord, and we can definitely help students as well, specifically because Morgan, our co-founder, he's into educational courses around game development, and he gives a lot of those for free. So you can link with him there as well. Our Twitter is at Rogue Fox Guild. So it's ROGUE Fox Guild, GUILD. So that's the Twitter, and you see a link to our Discord from there. Discord is Rogue Fox Guild as well. But the best thing to do is find it from Twitter or from our website. I'm personally on everything as well. My Twitter is at No More White. It's like from back in the days when I was a designer. It's kind of it's all about colors. It's not about So it's No More White. And you can tweet at me, or I'm find me on LinkedIn, and but I'm always in Discord, right? So if anyone just wants to chat to me directly, I'm actually just pointing them to Discord, because you see me there. I'm like constantly online and ready to chat.
Excellent. Well, so thank you again for your time, Bennett. Thanks for bringing this all together. Michigan Virtual, the entire team, the Meta Arena team. This has been an amazing 6 week or six module. We know it's a little bit longer than 6 weeks, but program. And have a great day. Rest of your evening. We will see you soon. Bennett.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Anna. I do want to mention that I was a top 50 witch doctor when Diablo 3 first came out. So when you said Diablo, I got excited. Reminded me of my days with the Carnival build. It's all good. But thank you. And to everyone, we will be putting this in the course soon. And thank you for joining us.
And the link in the bottom, right?
Of course, the link in the comments below. I love doing this, and I haven't told anyone that. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.